Shell has announced they will stop all Russian oil and gas purchases. Gas is already at a record high. It's never been higher. And now wheat prices have surged 70%. So you can expect, with this latest move from Shell and the potential banning of Russian oil and gas, the costs of hard goods, they're going to skyrocket. I'm not going to tell you what you should do with your money because I don't know. For all we know, tomorrow, Vladimir Putin comes out crying on TV and says, I was wrong to invade. My people need food. Maybe. Probably not. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm buying stuff. It's kind of scary, right? Inflation's already at near record highs. Depending on which metrics you use, you could say it hasn't been this high since the 80s, or it hasn't been this high since World War II. I think the World War II metric probably makes more sense, but far be it from me to claim one is better than the other. I'm not an economist. I can certainly say, though, I bought some silver recently. I bought some Bitcoin. And we're doing this expansion here at Timcast. So I was like, just buy everything we need for our new studio, for the new space now before it's too late. And we got lucky. When we decided we were going to start building this new headquarters, our contract guy was like, let's buy everything now. And I was like, yep, because we both pay attention to the news. And we knew that lumber, steel, and all these goods are going to skyrocket. If gas goes up, everything goes up with it. I mean, for the most part. So right now, we haven't banned the importing of Russian oil and gas. You can still do it. Some have criticized the U.S. for buying oil and gas from Russia amid this war because we're helping arm the Ukrainians, but then also giving money to Russia in exchange for oil. So it's kind of playing both sides. Look, I'm not going to speak morally on what anyone should do. Maybe it's the right move to ban oil and gas from Russia. Maybe not. But I'll tell you this. Your costs are going up, and I hope you are prepared for it. Take a look at this. Vladimir Putin, Russia is now warning of $300 oil, threatens to cut off European gas if West bans energy imports. Man, sounds like exactly what the Great Reset folks always wanted. Greta Thunberg is probably saying, how dare you, Putin, not do it sooner? Because this is exactly what she wanted, right? Greta Thunberg came out and she said, we don't want to wait until 2030 or 2023 or whatever. We want it now. Ban fossil fuels. Because she doesn't know what she's talking about. Because she's a child. And I'm not surprised. I don't blame her for being ignorant. I blame the people who prop her up. Oh, man. You see, in France, there was this thing that happened a few years ago called the Yellow Jackets or the Yellow Vests protests. Emmanuel Macron put a tax on gas to try and dissuade people from using it. And what happened was like a year and a half of rioting, protesting, yes, but some rioting as well. Because people were like, yo, we can't afford this. Well, thanks to the war in Ukraine, it's going to happen. The cost of fuel is going to skyrocket. But don't worry, my friends. Don't worry. We need only look to our good friend, Pete Buttigieg. Why he says you don't have to worry about gas prices if you buy an electric vehicle. Okay. I hope you can afford it. I hope you can afford the, $40,000 Tesla or whatever it is. I'm sure there are cheaper electric cars, but they are fairly expensive. Maybe you can get one used around 20 and you can finance it. Sure. And you'll have to because you won't be able to afford gas without getting a loan anyway. That's the meme going around. I just closed on a loan to get a full tank of gas. You can go on Craigslist. You can go on, whatever these, car websites, and you can find a used vehicle for $1,000 or $2,000. And it won't be a nice car, but it'll get you from point A to point B. And this will allow you to keep working and functioning. But there are many activists, many climate change people types. They don't want that. They don't want you using fossil fuels. They don't care how you do it. So, of course, Pete Buttigieg comes out and says this. The funny thing is, look, Mayor Pete is trending. Just go back in time to November 29th. Buttigieg said the exact same thing. So let's take a look at what Russia's warning about, because here's where it gets big. Shell is backing away, right, from buying Russian oil. Maybe we don't need a ban. Right now, there's some bipartisan, I say bipartisan because it never really means anything. But there's people on the left and the right that are like, we shouldn't be buying oil from Russia. Okay, maybe we stop. What happens? Let's talk about $300 for a barrel of crude. You know what that's going to mean for you? You could probably expect, let's do some basic math. Let's say right now it's like 5 and we're looking at 120. Let's say it's about 6. I think $300 for a barrel is going to be like $12 a gallon. $12 a gallon. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there'll be some, changes. Maybe it'll be higher, maybe it'll lower. I think $12. Some have warned $10 a gallon. $10. You got a small little sedan or hatchback or something. 13-gallon tank, tiny little car. You're talking $100 to $150 to fill up the tank. What is this? Man, that's going to be brutal. Y'all are going to want to downsize. My first car was a Mazda 323 hatchback, and it got like 40 or 50 miles to the gallon, some ridiculous number. I don't know, something like that, because it was a tiny little hunk of junk. And maybe that's what it was funny trying to cram people in it, and we could barely sit in it. But hey, man, that's what you're going to be driving. Or actually, you probably won't be driving anything. Russia warns of $300 for a barrel. CNBC reports, quote, "It is absolutely clear that a rejection of Russian oil would lead to catastrophic consequences for the global market," Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said Monday in his address on state television. "The surge in prices would be unpredictable. It would be $300 per barrel, if not more." Novak also cited Germany's decision last month to halt the certification of the highly contentious Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, saying, "We have every right to take a matching decision and impose an embargo on gas pumping through the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline. So far, we are not taking such a decision. But European politicians, with their statements and accusations against Russia, push us towards that." Let me break it down for you. We got all these companies around the world shutting off services to Russia. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and PayPal, all shutting off shutting off services to Russia. Russia can simply say, okay, how about if we're already having our economy crippled, we cripple yours back, and we shut off our gas into Germany, Nord Stream 1. We shut off our natural gas through Ukraine with Gazprom. And you know what? We keep it for ourselves. Because right now it's being reported that gas is like $2 a gallon over in Russia because they got gas to spare. If they're exporting and they have all of this fuel, they're going to use it. They'll use it for themselves, which will make Russian-made goods for Russians cheaper. And if they start negotiating trade deals with China and China agrees, then Chinese-made goods are going to be going into Russia. People in Russia will enjoy cheap gas, cheap heating, cheap products. And in the United States, it's going to be $10 a gallon for you. And if it hits that, how much is it going to cost for any other good that has to be transported? You think wheat is expensive now? Wait until transporting it costs twice as much. That's the crazy thing. All your cereals, except for your corn cereals, I guess. We're going to stop making wheat, start making more corn. We already make tons of corn here in the US. But that's what'll happen. Anything derivative with wheat in it, any gluten products. Oh man, the vegans are going to lose it because you're satanic. Sorry. With the price of wheat surging, you want to get wheat gluten for your food? Ooh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. His comments come with Russia's onslaught of Ukraine, this we understand, into its second week. The UN has said 1.7 million refugees have left Ukraine since Russia's invasion. Now, I'm not here in any way to defend what Russia is doing. Not a fan. A lot of people do point out there is the Azov Battalion. Many of these people are Nazis. You do have very serious issues. You have the regime change in 2014. You have a conflict between the U.S. and Russia. Hey, I'll tell you this. I don't trust the Biden administration. Under Donald Trump, we weren't having these problems. So I can tell you it's not a problem of the United States. No, the United States is actually pretty awesome. The problem is the corrupt regime. I like how people call it the Biden regime because they called it the Trump regime. It's just like, sure, whatever. Joe Biden's the problem. The Democratic establishment, the neo-libs and the neocons are the problem. They want war, they want conquest, they want this fight, and it makes everyone suffer. The World Economic Forum Davos group types, the people who want the Great Reset, these elites who think they know better for you are the problem. Because I assure you, I have heard the arguments of decentralization versus centralization. There are people, many of these elites, who believe without the guiding hand of better men, humanity is doomed to fail. The great filter, as it were. One of the solutions to Fermi's paradox, the idea that intelligent life at some point wipes itself out. Now, perhaps we on this planet are but yeast consuming and farting ourselves to death. It's a scary thought, to be completely honest. The idea that humans would just keep consuming fossil fuels and polluting the atmosphere until the biome collapses and then humans along with it. I certainly would not want that to happen. So let's think about this idea then. These better men of the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, people like Greta Thunberg think they're smarter than you and they know better. And so they must be in charge to prevent the destruction of humanity. But they're wrong. They are just simple humans who can only see one thing. They think they're smarter than you. I don't know what we need to do to make it past such a great filter. I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can't. I don't even know if it's actually there actually exists one. I do know that a network of 1 million computers is equally, if not more powerful than a supercomputer. And I think it's fair to say the combined computing power of all of the computers on the planet absolutely supersedes the power of all of the supercomputers on this planet. Building a supercomputer is very difficult. And even if a supercomputer is capable of calculating to a great deal more than your average home computer, there's just substantially more home computers. Think about that in terms of governance. You have billions of people on this planet. The decentralized network of individuals all seeing, thinking, and struggling and striving to solve these problems. It is substantially better for us than individuals going, I think the world should be the way I want it to be. Greta Thunberg is too young to understand anything about the world, so she would kill millions of people. Herein lies the challenge. If you have to kill tens of millions of people in order to save the planet, what's the point of being alive on this planet as humans if we are destroying ourselves? Now, that's a good question, because it can go in either direction. The climate change people can ask the same question. The decentralization people can ask the same question. The end result is decentralization tends to be the better solution. Don't get me wrong. I believe even with decentralization, you need strong nodes. That is to say, we don't want a completely flat system that appears like TV static of people doing random things. You do want pockets of influence and merit, as it were, proposing solutions and challenging questions, and then having those solved by the greater network of individuals. We don't have that, though. We have a bunch of global elites who think they're smarter than you, and they know it. So you got to live the way they want you to live. Well, I'm not confident that single powerful entities guiding the direction of this planet is the appropriate way to solve problems. Now, I'm not saying that there is a grand conspiracy cabal of, evil villains or going, yeah. I'm saying that you have this consolidation of power, this centralization of power that happens naturally over time. And these wealthy elites think they're smarter than you and wield that power in a very centralized fashion. This is why we have antitrust laws. I think it's very, very important. I got to get to the important points. And this one's right here for all of you. It's Biden's fault. Let me show you this. Gas prices reach all-time high. The potential ban on Russian oil imports may see gas prices continue to surge. And they will tell you it's Putin's fault. No, it's not. Biden halts oil and gas leases amid legal fight on climate cost. Excuse me? Gas is at an all-time high. And Joe Biden on February 22nd shut down oil and gas leases. You want to know why the cost of gas is so high? It is Joe Biden. Period. End of story. Now, of course, I can see these sophists saying, it's actually Vladimir Putin. You see the issue? No, shut up. Joe Biden shut down Keystone. What this did was it sent signals to investors that supply would not meet demand, that demand would be going up, but supply would not be there because Keystone was shut down. Joe Biden banned fracking on federal lands. Now, I don't know if fracking is good or bad. Certainly, there are many proponents of it. The point is, this does result in an increase in prices. Banning fracking, new fracking, yes, because supply will not meet demand. Then, Joe Biden in February, just a couple weeks ago, halted oil and gas leases over a legal fight on climate costs. Take a look at this. The Biden administration is delaying decisions on new oil and gas drilling on federal land and other energy-related actions after a federal court blocked the way officials were calculating the real-world cost of climate change. The administration said in a legal filing on a February 11th ruling, will affect dozens of rules by at least 4 federal agencies. Among the immediate effects is an indefinite delay in planned oil and gas lease sales on public lands in half a dozen states in the West. including Wyoming, Montana, and Utah. The ruling also will delay plans to restrict methane waste emissions from natural gas drilling, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to pretend that Biden is the single factor in this. There are elements of the federal government that are all playing a role. I'm not saying that it was the wrong decision to halt oil and gas. I don't know. I can just tell you this. Gas prices have reached an all-time high because of policies of Joe Biden's administration and, it appears federal courts and the executive branch. When they come out and say it's Russia's fault, they're doing two things. They're passing the buck onto someone else because they don't want to take responsibility for what they did, and they're trying to encourage war. No, it's not Russia's fault. It may be Russia's fault soon. Well, in the future, in the near future, if gas prices skyrocket after a banning of Russian oil and gas, well, we can blame Russia to a certain degree. Russia wanted to invade Ukraine, kicking off this major conflict, and now Shell is saying they're backing away from Russia, not going to be buying oil and gas. The prices aren't going to stop here, my friends. The price of gas is going to be higher than you've ever seen. Well, gas right now is higher than you've ever seen. That's true. Gas will get higher than you could possibly imagine. I recently I purchased we've bought like copper wire. We do look. I don't want to. You got to understand this about prepping and preparation and things like that. We're a business here. We build stuff. We have components. We need replacement parts. We've got 3D printers. We do a lot of tinkering and experimentation, and that means we need components more than the average person. So we've bought like copper wire. We bought screws and bolts and things like that. Just general basic building materials and things. And emergency food. We have a lot of emergency food. We have a bunch of these 30-day emergency food buckets. And when people come out, I show them like, here's some of our emergency food. And people are like, wow, look how much you have. And I'm like, we have 30 employees. One bucket for us is a single day for our staff. All right. Actually, I'm sorry. 2 buckets make up 30 days. So each bucket is 15 days. And I'm like, these 2 buckets right here, it's 1 day for our staff. Now, hold on. Not every single one of our staff members works here. So it's basically like for every 30-day emergency food kit we have, we're talking like a day and a half to 2 days of food for the people who are here working in the event there is a major disruption, which means we probably only have a couple weeks worth of emergency supplies. Which means for an individual, there's a big stack of buckets. But I'm like, dude, we run a company. We not only have guests, but we also have, we have a lot to consider. Trade, neighbors. We've bought a lot of emergency supplies. Not because I think the apocalypse is coming. I do think we're going to see a major period of strife as per the Strauss-Howe generational theory. Perhaps this is the 4th turning and things will get worse. The reason I personally purchased a large quantity of emergency food, and we also have things like beans, rice in these 30-year buckets. The reason I bought these is not because the apocalypse is coming. I bought them because inflation is coming, and I was right to do so. I told this story before. I went on Amazon. We needed a tablet for forms people have to sign when they come here, just like appearance waivers and liability things like that. Because we have a skate park. We have a skate park in the house, which means anybody who comes here has to sign a liability waiver. It's just how they make you do things. So even though not everybody's going to skate, we have to do it. So we had to buy a tablet, and I went on Amazon and I put one in the cart, and I forgot to buy it. The next day I came in and I opened up Amazon. It said price change alert. It had gone up like $130 or something like that. And I was like, if I had just clicked buy yesterday, I would have saved $100 or some odd dollars. That's insane. So a while back when we saw the food shortages under COVID, I was like, inflation is coming. We knew that they were printing money like crazy and pumping money like crazy into the system. So I said, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of these food buckets, not because I think I'm going to be huddled in the backyard and with blankets on and a warm fire as we're trying to boil water from the river. No, it's because in a month or two, this $50 bucket is going to be $100 because of inflation, because of shortages, because of massive demand. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy it now, and then it lasts 25 years. I'm going to forget about it. We got a bunch of these bean buckets, 30 years. They last 30 years. So I was like, okay, well, I'd rather not be sitting on US dollars. I'm not telling you what to do. This is my personal opinion. I would rather not have US dollars. I want to make sure we can spend it. Considering the inflation, People have been saying just buy what you can as fast as you can and don't sit on the money. And the scary thing is that makes inflation worse. Just buying things because you want to get them faster. And that makes inflation worse, and that's scary. But who wants to be the one holding the hot potato? So I figured if there is the prospect of major shortages, we can use food. It's not just speculation of inflation or anything like that. It's like we wanted it, better to buy it now. Right now, we're building 2 new studios. We have our mobile RV studio, which we're building out, and we have our new production facility, which is going to be an expanded facility, so we can do more work and things like that. So we got to buy cameras. I'm just like, buy everything we need for it now, because you sit on these U.S. dollars, and I should say, I'm worried that if I sit on these dollars, if inflation really is in the double digits, 15%, I'm losing 15% of my buying power, every year? That's scary. That means all the hard work you're putting is being stripped away. I don't know, man. I bought some silver. I bought some Bitcoin. I'm buying any kind of hardware I possibly can that we need. Instead of waiting and sitting around, I'm buying it now and we're getting the job done. It's kind of good in a sense because it's lighting a fire under us to get the things we need. Often projects get delayed because it's like Tim has to be the one to approve and sign off on these purchases, and then I'm too busy and I don't do it. Now I got a fire under me and I'm like, we better do this now. I am worried about where things are going. We're hearing this. Take a look at this story. Nickel surge raised the input cost for an electric vehicle by $1,000, Morgan Stanley estimates. Nickel. Yeah, like nickel. It's a pro article, whatever, but the price of nickel is surging this week because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So Pete Buttigieg and all these people can come out and be like, oh, buy an electric car. Yeah, it's $1,000 more expensive. How long does it take you to make $1,000? And now they're saying just buy an electric car? Well, they just tacked on more. And if you're somebody who's only making like $20 an hour, what is that going to cost you with taxes? Is it going to take you a month or 2 months to try and save up? Longer, probably. You've got bills to pay. What about your health care? You can't just get rid of your car. Uh-oh, gas prices are through the roof. Good luck, they say. This is crazy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend Pete Buttigieg is at fault for this. He's just some idiot who's telling you just buy an electric car and just let them eat cake. Sure. I don't blame him for the cost increase. But I certainly think our leadership is mismanaging everything. And I certainly think there are elements of this climate change, Great Reset bunch, World Economic Forum people who are happy this is happening. Because like they said, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And you know what? Food is included in that owning nothing. Surge in wheat prices expected to seed more suffering. Take a look at this. We are looking at 2008 Great Recession crash levels. If you were old enough to remember what that was like, tell the younger folks. I remember when the 2008 crash happened, and that would have put me in like my early 20s. I went to go apply for a job as a dishwasher, and there was a guy wearing a suit with a briefcase handing in his resume, and it was like a $7 or $8 an hour job or something. Maybe it was like $9. I can't remember what the minimum wage was. And I was like, okay, truth be told, I probably would have gotten the job over that 30-something-year-old dude in a suit, because the diner is going to be like, if we hire this 30-year-old dude in a suit, he's going to take another job the moment one opens up. This younger guy who just wants to wash dishes will probably just take it and work here for a while. Ultimately, I didn't take it, though. I just walked away. I was like, I don't want to play this game. Whatever, man. I played guitar in the subway, and I actually made like $30 an hour on average. When I would play guitar outside of Wrigley Field, it was like $100 to $200 an hour. No joke. But you could only play for like the hour before and after the game ends. So I was making like $300-400 per game. A lot of money. It's easier. It sounds better, easier said than done. It wasn't like we could go out every single time and make that, but for like one day's work, and then we'd wait for a while. There wasn't always a game or something like that. We weren't always able to do it. And truth be told, it doesn't always play out that well. Like when it was the Cubs stadium, but I ended up doing fairly well, able to pay my rent and make a living just playing guitar. And I suppose for me back then, the bigger issue was I wouldn't go out for every game. I'd go out and be like, whoa, I made like $200-300. I don't got to work this week. And then I'd go hang out with my friends or go skating or something. I'd have my rent paid. But that was way better than, working as a dishwasher. Playing in the subway, you'd make like $7 to $12 an hour. Playing top 40s, like CCR and stuff, I would make like $15 to $20 an hour. So you could only really play for like 2 or 3 hours because you can't just sing and play nonstop all day, every day. So it was just worked out for me. Is that where we're going to go, though? The direction we're going to be in, When the price of wheat skyrockets, here's the bigger issue. You're going to have people unable to, I'll tell you this. We already get messages from people saying falling on hard times, can't afford to be members at timcast.com. Like, we get it, man. You know, do your thing. I know that our company is doing well, but in the event that all of this keeps getting worse, what's going to happen is people stop buying ads, our revenue goes down. People can't afford to be members, our revenue goes down. So I think we were hit really, really hard when the pandemic started. Our revenue was slashed by like 70% or something like that. I think it's been a long time. And I was like, okay, like this month is going to get rough for us. But we didn't have that many employees. If the same thing happened today, we would be dipping into our coffers to make sure we can keep everyone employed and hope that we can weather the storm. I hope that doesn't happen, but I certainly understand. You guys got to take care of yourselves first and foremost. Make sure you're doing right by your family. Take care of your friends and family first before you worry about other things, because survival for you is important. But I will say to everybody who is able to and has maintained their memberships at Timcast, allowing us to do this, run this business, you're appreciated more than you know. I think that when it hits the fan, you must prioritize your food over podcasts and media content. I understand a lot of people say to me, you know, truth telling and media and breaking through this, like explaining these things is very, very important to make sure people can have an opportunity to stand up and fight back and understand what the world is going through. I agree. Media, journalism, reporting. When you're a member at timcast.com, you're funding our journalists who are reporting the news. It's not just about the work I'm doing because, you know, I'm on YouTube, right? But timcast.com it's the money that goes there is funding these reporters, and we're working to expand every day. If you can't, take care of yourself. It's more important. But I do believe the work we do is important to make sure you understand why it's happening so you can vote properly and make sure we strive for better futures. I'll leave it there. I wish you all the best. I hope you're paying attention to this stuff. I hope you've taken care of yourselves, your friends, and your family, and you're prepared for what's to come. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I'll see you all then.